Hi, I'm Barry. This is Mega City Gaming. Yeah, almost forgot. And I am painting some 3D printed stuff for Necromunda. Yeah, a friend of mine came up to me the other day at the club and tossed me some things that he 3D printed. Very nice things that go with the Necromunda terrain. And said, go ahead, paint them. So that's what I'm going to do. Enjoy. It's my first video for ages. Urgh. Sorry about that. You know what life's like, especially these days. It's unpredictable. I do have a lot of free time, so there's no excuse. But I don't have the tables, being used. And wife's home. Tables being used. Can't make video because we live in pretty much one rooms. Can't go there because she'll be like, shh. You know what it's like. So not that I'm complaining. Life is good. I just haven't been able to do this. So when things get back onto an even keel, don't know when that'll be. Nobody knows. I'll be back in the saddle, riding this rocket to oblivion. Yeah, anyway, enjoy. Let's start by trimming off any sticky outy bits that shouldn't really be there. It doesn't have any mould lines, of course. It does have a little bit of 3D printing stripy bits on it. Nothing serious though, but there are little bits of sticky outy bits which probably shouldn't be there. Very few though, actually, like kind of minor imperfections in the process. I dare say I could just paint over it and it wouldn't matter at all. No one would notice it except me. There's a little bit here on the pipe, for example. Yeah, that probably wouldn't be there in real life unless it was rust or something. Yeah. Right, that one's pretty clean actually. Yeah. Job done. Right. Next. Right, this one has a load of spaghetti going on in there. So that's got to go for a start. Oh, I see. So 1, 2, 3. These, they're kind of like taps. We can turn off and turn on these pipes. So this is quite hard. It's the first time I've really messed around with 3D stuff. Apart from, I have painted some 3D stuff before, but never had to. Let's move that closer. Never had to clean up like a bunch of spaghetti like this before. Spaghetti. Gotcha. When I first saw it, I thought I might leave it in and have it be, a big vat of ramen or something, or ramen, if you want to use the proper word. Right, I'm gonna have to use my choppers for that, aren't I? Because it's quite hard. These are the old ones. I do have some new ones, but I don't know. I just don't like using them. They're much better than these. I'm kind of saving them for quality projects, so I don't feel bad about using these ones for cutting all kinds of weird stuff that I probably shouldn't be cutting. Bits of metal and yeah, that kind of stuff. That's why there's all kind of chips in the blades, because I've not been kind to it. That's probably why the handle's coming off, because I've been using them extensively for about 10 years. The other ones are much better, but I use those other ones for cutting things off sprue because they're nice and pointy and sharp. Sprue. Yeah. I'm trying to work from this end. Try and get it from this end. That's probably better, isn't it? It's like Weetabix. If you've ever had Weetabix, it's not the best cereal in the world. It's kind of like this. Just add milk. Don't know why it's so popular, to be honest. I guess you grow up eating it, and then when you're an adult, you think it's really great. But yeah, I think I went through phases of eating it as a kid. But yeah, nowadays, corn flakes, because with corn flakes, apart from the fact I can buy them pretty much anywhere, I can buy them here anyway, which is a bonus. Yeah, well, that's better, isn't it? Just clean it up a bit. Why am I talking about cornflakes anyway? Bah, whatever. You don't want to know about cornflakes. You don't want to know about it. Bloody cornflakes, what am I like? Right, I'm just cleaning up the edge a little bit. Cleaning up the edge. Cleaning up the edge. Probably a better way of doing this. I know there's a chemical that dissolves this slowly, so it helps get rid of the ridges and stuff, the striations. But it would also help get rid of that. I could just soften it up and pull it off. But I don't know what that chemical is, and I certainly don't know what it is in Japanese, and I certainly don't know where to get it. And I certainly am not going to get it just to do that. So nah. Bar humbug. Oh, stab himself with the... That's why you should, whenever you're not using it, even if it's just for a few seconds, retract the blade. Just stab myself. Luckily, it was not even a flesh wound, so there you go. Right, this is no good on this, so it's way too hard. I'm just pulling off all the underneath bit, because I'm going to prime the underneath bits as well. I don't want to cut too much off, because I risk compromising the structural integrity of this bit, because it goes, this is basically what's inside, so the inside gubbins, keeping it all together, stopping it. That's how 3D printing works in this this kind of 3D printing anyway, not the resin bath Uber technology, which is totally out of Star Trek. Soon we'll be 3D printing our dinner. I know that's already a thing, but we will definitely be, instead of going to the supermarket, I'll just go on my Amazon Amazon food, pay for it, pay for the soy mix chemical to be extruded or the program. I don't even know how it will work. And then beep 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 beep, it will 3D print our dinner, and world starvation will be a thing of the past. Hopefully. There's me being optimistic again. Right, yeah, I don't want to pull out so much. I just don't want there to be strands sticking out, really. Okay, that'll do. That'll do. Yeah, just fine, pretty much. Yeah, that's done. Did I do this one? Did that one? Did I do this one? No, right. So this one's fine. Again, we got the under spaghetti nonsense. I'll pull that off, most of that. Yeah, I will just clip the sticky out bits, clip them off, clippity clip, clip, clop, clip. Problem is when you clip one and then you pull another two out. That'll do. I think if I prime that, it'll be fine. The paint will just stick it together. Yeah, rely on the paint to act as glue. If I was that worried, I could put some PVA in there, but I'm not, because we're never going to see that side anyway. I'm just one of those people that cares about that. Right, I don't have any GW primer because the shop that I went to didn't have black. They only had grey and gold and all the shit colours. So I decided to try this. Last time I tried this was about 10 years ago when I first started painting again, and it was pretty disastrous, to be honest. It just peeled off when I painted on it and all kinds of things. But yeah, I decided to give it another try. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I was just a beginner at that time, pretty much. And people say, oh, it's much cheaper. You're talking out your ass, because this is about a quarter of the price of a can of GW primer, which is high quality. But this is also less than a quarter of the size. So I don't know on what planet that's cheaper. So whatever, use whatever primer you want, but don't use that excuse. I would prefer to use Krylon. Krylon is much cheaper, available in the US. Unfortunately, I don't have access to that right now, so that's what I'm going to use, and I'm going to prime that right now and get back to you, and we'll see what it looks like. Well, they're done, they're dry. I must say the spray I used fucking stunk bad. So whatever you do, make sure you do it outside if you're using that. Of course the GW one also stinks, but not like this. This is like seriously getting high kind of stuff. Anyway, so I've done the best as I could. I've obviously missed a few bits in there. Whatever. Let's move the camera a little bit. Yeah, it's quite a good coverage. I might just go in with the brush and fill in a couple of bits that I missed. But yeah, all in all, yeah, quite a good coverage, and it seems not to just rub off, which is what I had last time. I don't know what I was doing wrong. Maybe it was a different kind of paint, same brand, but maybe a different kind of paint. I don't know. It was a long time ago. So success, I suppose. We'll see how it takes actual paint. So I'm just going in and filling in roughly the bits that are showing through. Thing is, because it's printed in yellow plastic, it really shows through the little tiny bits that I've missed with the spray. The spray didn't quite get in there for whatever reason. And I will say that the GW spray covers a lot better. This I had to like go a lot closer with the can and spray it, go over it like 5 or 6 times. Again, that might be because it's yellow and it's really obvious if I've missed a bit. Yeah, right, that one's pretty much done. I won't bother doing the underneath because whatever. So I'm using just an old Tamiya cheapy brush. This was like 100 yen or something. I've been using this one for about a year. Still doing fine. It's just a flat brush. I assume it's made of man-made materials like everything else in Japan, including the food. Don't even go there. Right. Yeah, I'm never going to get all the bits, so as long as there's no real obvious bits, that's fine. Won't bother with the underneath. That's good. All good, good, good. This one has some hard to reach areas because there's quite deep recesses. So just get those done. And those bits are going to stay black because I'm just going to overbrush with the silver and the whatevers, the whatchamacallits. Oh, and a bit around the edge as well because the edge might be visible as well. So I was using the same brush last night to do the rust effects using texture paint and stuff. So by all accounts, this brush should already be dead after yesterday, but it's still alive. So the most value for money brush I've had, although it's not really good for miniatures, except if you're doing dry brushing or whatever, or large flat areas, or just large areas, just painting, sloshing paint over a miniature, although good for doing the Agrax Earthshade, Nuln oil stuff. Can you see what I'm doing? Yeah, I'm just doing the edge, doing the meat in the sandwich. Awesome. Right, oh, just noticed one more bit down there. It's hard to get in there with a brush. Just leave that, it'll be fine. Not to worry, not to worry. Right. Right in, and that should be dry by now, so. Let's do the next bit. The next bit. So as these are quite large bits, they're not miniatures, they're bits of terrain. I'm going to use a big brush. I could even use that one. This is like and 2 centimeters. This is like 1 centimeter when I bought it. Now it's 1.5 because it's splayed out. I'm going to use that. Just overbrush the whole thing with, what's that, lead belcher. Yeah, I actually transferred the contents of this into a dropper bottle because fuck these containers, really, honestly. Like, first, when I first like 10 minutes or half an hour of painting session is me pulling out all the dry bits around the edge of the fucking, for fuck's sake, trying not to get bits of paint, dry paint, into the pot. Drives me fucking. Anyway, it's not a rant podcast. I don't do that. Don't even do podcasts. Right. Anyway, I digress. So this is also going to bring out the details on the. So anyway, I did transfer the contents of this to a dropper bottle, but there's still some in there, so I'm just using that up. Right. Get quite a lot on there, and just literally overbrush the whole thing. Yeah, brings out the details. Looks a bit more machine-like. Yeah. The recesses stay dark. Trying to do this all in one go without getting too much on my hands, although that doesn't matter. Just don't want it rubbing off. Right, there we go. You got a bit on my hand, but whatever. Right, that one's done. Job done. Let's do this one. Start in the middle. Do segment by segment. And this one, the paint is a bit less thick on the brush, so the dark bits are staying a bit more dark. If that makes any sense. So earlier I mentioned Krylon as an alternative to spray paint. That works great. In England, of course, I've heard that Halfords do a quite a good car primer that you can use. Halfords car primer, which is the same kind of price, I guess. Like cheap. And of course, it's a car primer, so that stuff is not gonna rub off. See, literally a few seconds. Literally just a few seconds. And that, look at that. Yeah, no excuses, people, for having unpainted terrain. None. Won't have it. Not on my watch. Unpainted terrain. I'm too busy. Yep. Yeah, I was saying that because a friend of mine, although I haven't seen him for a couple of years, went to his house and he was telling me he had all this terrain, and he did. He had a lot more than I've got. All this GW terrain, industrial platforms and walkways and all this kind of stuff, really. And yeah, he had it, but not even primed, not a lick of paint on any of it. It was all grey plastic. And I said, why don't you paint it? He said, paint's expensive and I don't have the time. I don't like painting. And time? How long did that take? fuck's sake. So I did tell him, buy some primer, spray it, dry brush it, boom, halfway there, man. Better than grey plastic. I think he did eventually do it, but that wasn't until recently. So, as always, even though I know I'm right, 100% right, people sometimes don't listen to me. Sometimes they don't listen to me. And I'm not one to, if someone doesn't want to listen to me, fuck them, I don't care. I'm not one of these people to harp on about it. Although, I do know I'm right, and I do file that away into things I know that I'm right about. Anyway, whatever. Right, so I've done that, and it's it's pretty much dry. See, I mean, how can people say that takes time? And then, right, I want it to kind of match the stuff I've been painting, my other terrain stuff. So I'm just looking for, it's right there because I was painting it yesterday. Right, so this is, it's called Copper. Oi, Copper. But I could equally use this one. This is the GW Hashed Copper, and it's almost the same. I've just been using that because to be honest, this Hashed Copper, if I leave it standing for about 2 minutes, it separates. And yeah, with this stuff, the Vallejo stuff, it's consistent. In other words, in my opinion, it's better. So it's just yeah. And as you can see, I did transfer it into a decent pot and peel the label off and just stick it on. These labels peel off and re-stick easily. So yeah, just if you can do it, do it. If you can do it, do it. And some people have said, how can you possibly pour contents of that into here without getting it all over? Well, very easily, because you pop the top off and then you pop the nozzle off. They just pop off, and then it's about maybe a centimetre hole. And when you pour in it, even a little bit shaky, it's fine. I've done it with a hangover, with my old shaky hands, no problem. Very easy, not a single drop wasted. Some people like to go in with the pot and fill it with water and then shake it, but I feel that dilutes the paint a bit too much sometimes, so I just pour it directly in with an agitator, a bit of metal, so it shakes well, and I'm getting sidetracked again, aren't I? And then leave the stuff in there and just use up the rest of that with a brush until it's all gone. It's all gone. Right, I've sidetracked. I'm talking. Right, so my paint pot, water pot is literally silver coloured now. I wouldn't paint regular paints using that water. I would clean it out before using any of these, but as I'm continuing to use a metallic, whatever, don't care. So as I said, this copper paint is a nice consistency. It's a nice orangey copper colour as well. And I'm doing the pipes, the thick pipes. The feeder pipes. So yeah, as long as you've got a system, and you keep it consistent with all the terrain set that you're doing, like this is the same colours and the same system I've used for all my Dark Uprising, Mechanicum and Gang Stronghold terrain, and other terrain as well. All the sci-fi stuff, I've pretty much used the same paint. I sometimes switch this one for the GW one, but same system, you know, because not all pipes use the same materials, of course. Even copper pipes vary in colour a little bit due to wear and tear, stuff like that. And this really isn't difficult. You don't need any brush skills whatsoever. I'm using a big fat old brush. This brush again is like 2 or 3 years old. It's a synthetic brush as well. It's not a high quality brush. It's like, what is it? Wargamer. It's Army Painter monster size brush. It's a big fat brush anyway to begin with, and because it's so old, the bristles kind of splay out a bit as well. So I'm still using it. So there are bits in here that I think on some of my terrain I painted them gold and some of them I didn't. Kind of like a segmented bendy pipe. Right, and if you go over a bit, just wipe it off with your finger. Segmented bendy pipes. I think I did that the same colour as this on some of my terrain bits. It was one of those ones where it made sense on some bits, it didn't make sense on other bits, so I've done it sometimes but not always. Doesn't matter. Right. Wow, look at that. How long did that take? Yeah. Bugger all time. Right, I'm going to do the others. So I'll stop the video. You don't need to see me doing the same thing. Back in a minute. Job done. And it literally took a few seconds. Like I said, I've mostly done these segmenty pipey bits, boop, but I didn't do them on this one for some reason. It doesn't matter really. Now I'm going to start using this colour. This is Mephiston Red. Use whatever colour you want really. I just like to use red on stuff because it's striking and stuff. I'm using this for these kind of canister type things. That's what I've been using on most of my bits of terrain. Anything canister like. So I've changed my water. My water is no longer silver. It's now clean for the moment. And you might have noticed before when I was using the silver paint, I left the pot open. That's because I just want to finish it up. The most of it I've transferred already, so I'm not really worried about that drying out so much. It does make me cringe when I see people painting with their pots open on the table. And not only do I think, shit, that's going to get knocked over, I also think, shit, that paint's going to be fucking useless. Excuse the use of the F word today. So I'm in that kind of mood, and to be honest, I've been locked away from decent folk for a long time. Although, well, actually, that's not true. We've started playing games again at the club, A to Z Gaming, and that has been a breath of fresh air. Yes, it has. Been playing Blackstone Fortress, and it has been phenomenal. And Pandemic Legacy, and last weekend I played Monster Apocalypse for the first time, and Marvel Crisis Protocol, and Dead of Winter, and loads of stuff. Right, so I've noticed a couple of bits where I've missed metallic here and here, so I'm going to do those. I'm not worried about these lumpy pipes so much. It's more of the main pipeage, especially this one, because it comes out copper but it goes in silver. That should be one piece. Right. Actually, this one I'm not going to bother with. I'm just going to do that one. So just a bit of touching up. So yeah, if you do notice any bits you missed, just do it. That's why it's good to have a system. It's very easy to miss details and bits and bobs. And it doesn't matter. There's another one there I missed. It doesn't matter. No one's going to be upset. I mean, the worst that can happen is someone might notice it. Unlikely. Anyway, how easy was that? And some people say, I don't have any space to paint. And yeah, I understand. But literally, this is my dinner table. My wife could come home any time, because nowadays people's schedules is all screwed up. So who knows what time she's coming home, and she never tells me anyway. So she might come home right now, and which does, boop, this goes back into the cupboard. And then people are going to say, I don't have a paint tray. Well, I didn't have a paint tray until recently, a paint station. I literally used a tea tray. I mean, that's like literally £1, $1, 100 yen, whatever, from the pound shop, 100 yen shop, whatever. A tea tray. Put your paints on it, put your stuff on it. Need to do something on the table, just shove it out of the way. Boom. So I understand some people in extreme cases don't have enough space. Yes, but I doubt that is in every case. Right, I'm just banging on, aren't I? I'm just going off on one. Right, what's next? I've done that. Yeah, what I could do, there's a temptation to paint some of these panels. I could paint these panels a colour instead of having it all silver. Let's paint these puppies. So what I've done with my Gang Stronghold, I've been using grey cere and some stripes with vermilion model colour, Vallejo. But let's not do that. For my industrial terrain, I've been using, let's see if I can find it. There it is. Karak stone. And then highlighting, like doing some bits like a bluish colour. Where are you at? Blue. There it is. Temple Guard? Blue, maybe? Or was it Sotek? Might have been Sotek. So what we're going to do is we're going to do like 3 panels Carrick Stone and 1 panel Sotek. Let's do Sotek, and then we can, if it's not light enough, we can just go over it with that. So that works in my head. So back to this flat brush, Tamiya modelling brush number 01, item 87028, or hashtag whatever you have available. So again, Carrick Stone, that used to come in one of those, but I transferred it because, yeah, not going to go on another rant. Don't go on another rant. Don't do it. Don't do it. So these GW paints do need a lot of shaking sometimes. Some of them do, some of them don't. Yeah, right, cool. Hopefully it's not blocked. Sometimes they get blocked like that. Right, that is the case. Toothpick. Yeah, it's blocked. And make sure you are near a palette or somewhere where you can spooge all that paint. Yeah, because I probably didn't like. What you should do is get a serviette or tea towel and just wipe the nozzle when you've finished using it. I never do that because I'm an idiot sometimes. Right, so I'm just painting. It's going to need a few coats. And this has got quite heavy striations in it from the 3D print. Not a big deal. Maybe it was literally 3D printed at the manufactorium. I assume. I assume the Mars people's Adeptus have 3D printers. Yeah, it's definitely going to need another coat. Good thing about flat brush too is it's easy to go up all up into the straight lines. There you go. Right, I'm going to do the other 2 and get back to you. Right, 2 coats, and I went for the red on that purely because I reached for it and I started doing it red before I remembered I was going to do it blue. So, but I think it looks great, a nice striking colour. So yeah, I did 2 coats. The second coat really doesn't need to go all the way up to the edge, so you could be a bit rough for that, because if you don't push it to the edge on the second coat, it kind of gives like a feathering effect on the edge, if that is even the right word, kind of like a shadowy kind of effect. And we're going to go over it with varnish anyway, which will be in a minute. Before I do that, I was just looking at this one and this one. Are they the same? They're not the same, but they're kind of based on the same template. Yeah, this is different, the middle's different, but otherwise. So I was looking at these and I was thinking these also have segments, and I might alternate. So like beige, red, beige, red, beige, red on both of those. Give it a bit of colour. So I am going to have to use a smaller brush, just a regular paintbrush. This one, It's quite big. It's for painting monsters apparently. And it's a few years old, so it's not pointy. Perfect for painting terrain. So I was just going to do the brown first. People are going to say, well, you didn't thin your paints. Nope. Not if I'm painting terrain. No. And I want the paint to fill in some of this 3D print texture. Right. Yeah, it's not looking great so far, but it will. Mark my words. Mark my words. Yeah. Get a bit of colour on there. I know other people that have painted this kind of stuff have gone for the yellow Avalon Sunset, which is like it's a nice colour actually, nice, and it's a base, so it's got a lot of pigment in it, not like other yellows. Right, this one I'm just going to paint, spooge the paint a little bit in the gaps, just to give the effect that it's there. Same with this one. Pretty rough. Yeah. Might paint that interior black because it's got teeth. It looks like a bear trap. So maybe it's like a access port, or I don't know. I don't know. Stop asking me questions. And of course they're going to need another coat. I'm just going to do this one while we're doing the same colour. Doesn't have to be perfect. Laying it on a bit thick. All up in there, right. And then the final bit. Yeah, because when we put the shade varnish on, it's gonna make it all better. Yeah, of course it is. Right, now I'll do the reds. No talent required whatsoever. Anyone can do it. If I can do it, you can do it too. No space required, no talent required. Bare minimum of paints. Use whatever paints you got. Look at that red. Whoa. Whoa. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Colour. Give it some colour. Yeah, this Mephiston red, that's also a base colour. So lots of pigment in there. It's awesome. Used it a lot. GW have also used it a lot on all of their box colour schemes on their miniatures. If you've noticed, black, red and white being the predominant colours on all of their standard box colour schemes. Then yeah, apart from obviously ultramarines and stuff, but yeah. Yeah, it's not bad, is it? It's not bad so far. It will look a lot better. This is just you know, painted by numbers at the moment, filling in the bits and pieces. If you do go over onto the silver, just tidy it up with a bit of silver paint. Boom, job done. Isn't it? So you can afford to be a bit messy on that. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to tidy it up when it's been varnished. However, there's also the weathering. The weathering can cover up all manner of mistakes, so really don't worry about screwing it up too much. I mean, if you do go, then yeah, you might want to sort that out. But there you go. I might give that beige another coat. Give it another coat, so it's a bit more consistent. Red seems to be okay. We'll just let it dry and see how it looks. But yeah, I mean, really, how long does it take? No excuse for unpainted terrain, really. Yeah, that one's alright, this one. Yeah, so a second coat is a bit rougher, because I don't have to go to the edges so much. So actually, what, the day before yesterday, I pulled out my second set of Gang Stronghold terrain, which had been primed but not really painted, and painted the lot. Same style as this, varnished it, and then last night I did the weathering. Job done, finished. I mean, that was a whole terrain set. Literally took me a few hours. Right, I'm gonna paint the interior of these toothy bits, bear trap type thing, and paint that black. I think that's what it's going to be. Wow. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, you do want to wipe the end a bit sometimes. I seem to only do it when it gets really bad. Should do it each time. Anyway. Right, so I'm pushing, so I spooge the paint in the middle and then I'm just pushing it to the edges, trying to leave the teeth intact. Okay. Easy, yeah? Easy. Right. Next up is varnishing. Right. I'm going to give that a few minutes to dry because the varnish is water soluble and that might wash away some of the paint. So back in a minute. Right, now we're going to do the varnishing. So this is water-based varnish for woodworking, walnut colour. Use whatever colour you want. Yeah, I'm using this because it's cheap and it protects. It's it's pretty much almost almost the same stuff as Army Painter Quick Shade, but the Army Painter Quick Shade isn't water soluble, I think. But this is good, and this is cheap. I can't even remember how much that was, but literally not much. And I've used this one pot. There's still about like a centimetre left. I've used all that on 2 whole sets of Necromunda terrain, or 2.5 actually, so plus the 4 tiles. So it does last. So I'm using a massive brush, biggest brush I've got. Also cheap as well because it does tend to ruin your brushes, and I'm literally just jizzing it all over. Jizzing it all over. Yeah, it does. It smells a little bit. Doesn't smell as bad as the Army Painter stuff. That stuff really smells bad. And you can wash your brush out. I do tend to wash it out in the sink, because then it gets a proper under the tap, you know, because it gets a lot proper wash, and it uses a bit of soap as well. Again, this brush I've had for a couple of years, actually for about 5 years, and I've used this to varnish like 4 or 5 sets in Necromunda terrain, and I'm still using it. It's fine. And I do believe this wasn't that expensive, this brush. It might well be. I have no idea if it's synthetic or not. I guess it is, because yeah, pretty much everything here is synthetic. Right. Now. Oh. Right, I had a brush in my mouth for a second because I was trying to get something out of the drawer, but I had nowhere to put my brush. So I'm using a bit of blue tack. You can use like anything, bit of sprue, whatever, just so this isn't, because this is, I'm going to put this outside and let it dry. And this stuff it dries and it gets sticky. And if it's flat on the paper or card, it'll just tear off the card. And that's happened before, and it's fine because, you know, it's underneath, doesn't matter. But yeah, you don't want to spend valuable seconds of your life ripping up bits of paper from the bottom of your terrain. Valuable seconds wasted. So you can see it's got like a bluish tinge to it when you put it on. A bluish tinge. But when it's dry, it doesn't look anything like that. It is literally like walnut colour. And when it also protects, so you don't need to top coat it either, because it's got a thick layer of nice plasticky protection. Right, I'll put my brush down this time. Common sense. Get a bit of that off. Normally I use like a frame of sprue and just lay it on the top, but that's all packed away outside. Right, let's preempt this and do it first. There we go. Boom. Should probably use 2 bits, but whatever. As long as it's not all stuck and I just peel it off, that's fine. Yeah, as you see, I'm doing it on the fly. Yeah, and this brush is still flat, so I have used this brush to actually paint stuff as well. Big stuff like terrain. This varnish, if you're painting something vertical, like a wall, and when it's drying, it's like upright like that, it does tend to drip, so you want to keep an eye on it. For about 10 minutes. And any drips you can just brush away, brush into oblivion. But these should be right because they're flat. But even if there are drips, there are always going to be drips with this stuff. If you're doing anything vertical, and even the sides of these, because the sides of this one in particular are quite thick, tall-sided, otherwise flat terrain. You will get drips on the edge sometimes, usually actually. So yeah, there are totally ways of dealing with that. There you go, job done. And as you see, I was holding it, and it doesn't actually notice very much if you hold it right on the corner and you do everything else. And my intention usually is to go back and do the corner, but when I do that, I'm like, oh, which corner was it that I didn't varnish? I can't tell. Well, then it obviously doesn't matter. So no worries. I'm using this cling film to keep it liquid. This seal on these, because it's so cheap, is not very good. So in order to keep it from drying out, do that. Right, I'm going to put this outside. Yesterday, or the day before yesterday, it took a few hours in the sun to dry. It's late afternoon now, so might take a bit longer, might take the same. So give it at least a couple of hours and then just touch it to see if it's dry. Yeah, right, anyway, see you in a bit. Right, they're all dry as a bone, and OMFG, they look so much better. Wow. So yeah, that walnut stuff, varnish, whatever. Oh, I got my tea as well. That varnish is freaking awesome. I think I missed a little bit here. It doesn't really, I mean, we can, any bits of drippage or bits that you missed, like here, there's There's not really any drippage anyway, because they're flat pieces. A bit of pooling there. Again, not an issue. Just looks like dirt. Yeah, I'm very happy how they turned out. But we're not finished. To tell you what, we ain't freaking finished. Right. So this is hobby paint. It says hobby on there, from the DIY store, hardware store, Hobby Lobby, whatever, I don't know. And it's called Chocolate Brown, or yeah, Chocolate. Anyway, it's chocolate colour. But the actual, I mean, there are chocolate colours and chocolate colours. I've got at least 3, and they're all different. This one is kind of reddy brown, I guess similar to, I can't even read that anymore. Similar to whatever colour that is. But have I got a GW paint like that? Here we go. Similar to Mornfang brown, kind of. Yeah, it doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't matter. The fact is, this was super cheap and big, huge, and it's kind of got a glossy shine to it, which, you know, is neither here nor there, because we're not actually going to paint with it. We're going to sponge it on. Which end of the sponge? I was using that end yesterday, so let's continue using that end. Sponge is at a premium in my house because I keep using it for sponging. So eventually this will kind of disintegrate and not be any good. Get clogged with paint. I do wash it after every session. I have used this same one for 5 sets of Necromunda terrain and a whole bunch of other random stuff and pipes and all kinds of nonsense. So it does last a while if you do wash it afterwards. Right, I've got a pachinko ball in here, or ball bearing if you prefer. It will rust eventually, but as I'm using it for rust, I don't think that really matters. Right, here we go. So I've showed you this before in one of my videos, probably before. So get a bunch on there. Get a bunch on there. Close the thing. Don't leave it open. Whatever you do. Dab it out. Dab it out, and then I've got a Kentucky serviette to soak up some more. Right, so there's a bit of pooling around. I'm going to go over those areas first, do light, and then if it's not coming off, go slightly heavier, and that gives like the randomness of it, kind of not like it's been painted. And you can try to get in there in the corner. Yeah, do some edgy bits as well. Edgy. Not too much, because we're going to do some other weathering as well. There we go. So if you've got any drippage or seepage or poolage, any kind of edge, you can just cover it up with that. It does look a bit like a rust. Of any overpaints that you want to cover up, just do it in random patchy areas. Otherwise, it doesn't really need it, but it adds to the realism. If you've ever been in a factory, especially in a country where it rains, or there's like a damp problem, yeah, just spread it out a bit. There you go. Right, job done. Whoop-de-doo. So now wash the sponge in the water. So look at all that paint, it's thick with paint. So what I might do, my cat is sitting on my lap, I can't get up. So I'm literally, I've you know, squeezed it out. Squeeze it out, mate. I'm just gonna leave it in there. You do get, thing of sponging, you get paint on your fingers. I've no idea if you can see what I've done at this angle. Cat on lap syndrome. Not that I'm complaining. Cat on lap is awesome. Right. I'm forever going to work with bits of paint and crap stuck to my fingers. Reinforcing the theory that foreigners are dirty. That's what they're taught from a young age. Some of them, not all of them, of course. When I say them, I mean local people of all shapes and sizes. Right, right. That was a bit rude, isn't it? I don't know. Just my experience in that. You know, this comes from experience, from what people have told me, and I teaching kids. Kids are quite direct and honest about that kind of thing. And several times I've been called out on my dirty fingers and stuff. And yeah, not just because I got dirty fingers, but because I'm foreign, and of course I have dirty fingers because I'm foreign. Anyway, you know, kids are kids. So what am I doing now? So that takes like seconds to dry. This is typhus corrosion. First time I used it was like yesterday. It's dark brown. It's like a really, really thin paint with sand mixed into it. Yeah, so well done GW for coming up with that. So I'm using this. I'm going to use this crappy brush again. Although it's a really good brush in my opinion. Just cheap. Get a bit on the old palette. Whoa! Yeah. Now this is why I hate GW fucking paint pots. What the fuck? Yeah. Because I've done this before and I picked up a model and got paint all over it. So fucking hell. It's because I shook it up, and I suppose I should let it settle. Otherwise it goes from the lid out the back seepage. Yeah. Yeah, and then I go to work like that. Yeah. And all the kids are like, yeah, it's true what they say. Right, anyway. Just randomly, there's quite a lot on this bit, but anyway. Should probably use a sponge for that, but whatever. I'm just randomly, just choose a random spot and then feather the edges a bit. Stipple, I guess is the word. There you go. So I'll just added a whole bunch of rust effect to that. So you don't want too much. I guess someone said, oh, put it in areas where there'd be seepage. I'm like, well, it's like everywhere, isn't it? I have no idea. I guess we can stick a bunch on there, on that grate, the grill. Maybe get some more, maybe not shake it up. So it's still leaking out the back. Shook it and opened it. What a fucking amateur. Oh. Yeah. And that, I need to shake it again because it's all, oh, whatever. Yeah, look at that. Fucking hell. Yeah, who knows where else I'm getting it. Splashing all over the place. Yeah, getting all my computer. Ah. Yeah, I'm just putting it all over, because it's kind of watered down paint, or very thin. You still see kind of see the colours underneath. Stipple the edges a bit because rust is not usually. Right, where's that bit that I missed? There, stick that over there. Just random. Get a bit in the middle. Just gives a bit of variation, realism. Yeah, and see that bit's quite dark, and then as I painted more and more, it came off the brush, and then that bit's quite thin, so you can vary it up like that. Right, I'm done with typhus corrosion and the mess it caused. I caused by shaking it. How stupid of me. So although I have transferred a whole bunch of paints, I've run out of pots to transfer them to, and I generally don't transfer the technical paint because they've got weird consistencies and sand in them and all kinds of stuff. Right. Yeah. All right. So just clean the brush a little bit. Next up is the dry paint. That's probably already dry. That old stuff that I got everywhere. Look at that. Weathered my hands. Now that is expensive. Fuck. Right now, this is Riser Rust. It's called Dry. It's a dry paint, Riser Rust. Again, yesterday was the first time I had ever used it. So let's do it. Don't need to shake this up because it's dry. Get a bit on the palette. Let's go over a bit. Kind of, because you can, the first one I used, whatever it's called, typhus corrosion, because it's got sand in it, it means it's got some kind of texture. So this, because basically this is dry brushing, if you go over the top of this, it adds, it comes off around on the texture bits. There you go. But I'm also putting it all over in random areas where there would be water. So around here, don't know if you can see that. I can't see if you can see it because camera angle, cat on lap. Again, you don't want to put it all over the place. You just want certain areas because I put it on a lot of bits of other terrain and it'll look kind of dumb if it's everywhere. So yeah, a little bit in the corner, a bit over here. That's nice, isn't it? It's nice. It's nice, isn't it? Right, so that heavy bit of weathering typhus, I will go over that with the brush. Let's get a bit more. The trick is not to get too much on. So wipe your brush off and then go in lightly. That's good, isn't it? And then same on that side. It's good, isn't it? And bit all over, random areas. Yeah, that does look fucking good. Holy shit. So I am what? Oh, cat's gone. Right, now I can see, I can lean around and see what you're seeing. Right, I am now, because ooh, it's a bit heavy on that. Ooh. Now I've discovered this, although I did buy this paint quite a long time ago. I've just opened it yesterday. I am going to have to go into my Necromunda terrain box and do the whole lot with this. So they're all up to the stage where I did this a minute ago. They're all up to this stage. I sponged them all with this. I haven't done any of them with the typhus corrosion or the riser, so I'm going to have to go in and do them all with this. Look at that. Oh. But yeah, they are now done. And now I'm just going to wash the brush and go and wash my hands. Yeah. Right, they're done. They are freaking, look at that. I know this camera's crap. I was using my iPhone for the other video, the table shots. I do wish all cameras were as good as my iPhone. So I not only have I done these things, I also did 2 sets of this. Yeah, same kind of thing. This is how I was learning how to use that typhus corrosion and stuff. So bits of it are quite heavy-handed, but the thing is, you can't really go wrong. It's rust. Rust doesn't follow rules. Yeah, I've got a lot of respect for rust. I will, at some point, set this up. Yeah, look at it. Oh, it looks so much better with that on. Got a lot of respect for rust. Yeah, so some bits I've done really subtle, like a little bit on the door here, a little bit on the thingy. Not too much. Yeah, some bits I didn't put any on. A few bits because I got bored. I just did like 80% of it, and there were like 5 or 6 odd pieces that I thought, well, screw it, because it already had the sponging chocolate as well. I thought, that'll do. You don't need this stuff everywhere, do you? It's don't need it everywhere, do you? Do you? Or maybe you do. Of course I did. Did I do these fence bits? Because there's a lot of these. It's just good. The cat's asking for more food. It's not food time. Although I did just give her some food. So, yeah. I'm not supposed to, but I did. Because I'm soft, big softy. Yeah, I did put a bit of corrosion on some of these fences, a whole bunch of them. Again, random, but so yeah, I'm really happy about how those turned out. Yeah. Goes well together. So yeah, that's about it really. I just thought I'd make a video because I had the chance. And get in the box. Get in the box. I thought I'd show you how I learned Rise of Rust and how easy it is. If I can do this, anyone can do it. Yeah. If you don't have the money to get the Rise of Rust and the whatever it's called, typhus corrosion, fair enough. You should have enough money if you're in any kind of hobby like this to get a big tin of like brown hobby paint from Hobby Lobby or whatever the equivalent is in England. I don't know anymore. And a bit of sponge from a bit of pluck foam or a bit of packing or whatever, or a bath sponge if it's got fine enough bubbles in it, and just do that like I showed you. Anyone can do it. Anyone. I showed you how long it took to, I clipped off the sticky out bits. Yeah, that took 5 minutes. I sprayed it black again. That only took time for waiting for it to dry. And of course, some people don't have outside. I've got a balcony. In a cardboard box, spray in the box. That's what I've been using. Otherwise, go to the park when there's no one around. Do it there. Dry brush, overbrush with dark silver paint, whatever dark silver paint you've got. Boom. 9% done. You could finish there. That would be fine. That would be so much better than your grey plastic terrain. That's fine. I have no problem with that. If you got another hour, do what I did. Boom. No talent involved. Do it. Do it now. I'm waiting. Yeah. I'm waiting. Anyway, like, subscribe, comment below. See ya.